Hey guys, what's going on? It's James Smiley here, and super excited to bring this one to you. I want to share with you kind of my top secret interview scripts. I found the old font there for you just to spice it up a little bit. But interviewing and finding the right virtual assistant is really, really key. You could have the best virtual assistant on your hands and not even know it unless you know how to sift through them right, understand their culture, understand the things that they can bring to the table, and understand that it's different. It's very different than people in America. And having interviewed myself, at least 100, if not 200, probably 200 or more virtual assistants myself. I've had my business partner, my manager, different people interviewing. We've interviewed hundreds of people, and you're going to get kind of the best overall interview script, the things that we've used, and we really feel like we've crystallized a really good process here in order to sift through them quickly and find the best candidate. So let me go ahead and take you through this quickly. Went ahead and created a couple slides here for you. So number one, I want to make sure that everybody understands that the hiring process, okay, for a virtual assistant. Now, I'm not talking about gig-based work. Okay, for gig-based work, you can go out there, do the quick things we showed you on Fiverr, and use those hacks, and you can get somebody hired within a day or two. Or usually, a lot of times, I can get somebody hired the same day. If I can get enough applications, find the right people, I can get somebody hired the same day. Okay. When I'm looking for a virtual assistant, one thing that I've really completely messed up on is rushing this process. Okay. I treated it initially like gig-based work where I was looking for somebody quickly. I wanted them to come up to speed quickly. Guys, it doesn't happen. And here's the thing. They usually need to really understand your processes, how you work, your business model, what you do, and culturally, those things are so disconnected. It's just going to take them time. So I would expect just like a normal hiring process of someone in the U.S. where it would take you 2, 3, 4 weeks. I've got it down now to about a 2-week process to really overall it's a 3-week process. It's about an hour of recruiting and hiring them, and then 2 to 3 weeks. It's usually 2 weeks of kind of onboarding and bringing them on. So I'm going to do another one just about our onboarding practices and what we do there. That's going to be really exciting for you to kind of get the inside and the behind the scenes there. So that'll be the next one. So, but I just want to let you know that, replacing somebody is extremely difficult. Okay. And here's why. You end up putting so much time and energy into training them. And once they get going, it's amazing. It's the most amazing thing, right? I was doing tasks today, even in the membership site right here. Okay. I was working on stuff in the membership site, and I was up late. Obviously, I'm up early in the morning here. It's 5 o'clock. And last night, I just couldn't get everything done. There was just fonts and adjustments and all kinds of things, but I had the content. I could copy and paste it in there. And so what I do is I quickly, just kind of give you a side tangent here, but I quickly, I'll create something like this with Jing. It's a free software, Ging, and I can come here and click capture video, and I captured a video, and I said, hey, this is what I need help with. This is the thing going on here in this membership site. Here's where you find it, and I would really love it if you could do this, this, and this, or move this around. And then another task came up with creating a meme for something, or adjusting something, or adjusting the description. Like there was a thing today we did. I changed the description in my podcast. So I have 158 podcasts out there. And so I changed the description. So now a virtual assistant, I did the same thing. I created a window like this. I explained it in a video, and I copy and pasted that into Skype. And then she will go into all 158 descriptions of my podcast and make sure that they're all congruent and they look really great. and she'll add that task into her task manager, and it's beautiful. Guys, it's beautiful when it works. Okay. Once you get it going, it's unbelievable what you can do, but replacing the person is extremely difficult. Okay. I wouldn't mention this to them per se. It's probably not as advantageous for you to bring this up, but they're extremely valuable in your business. And I would honestly say they're more valuable because of the time you've put into them. They're more valuable than an entry level U.S. worker would be in your business, because usually you can find somebody off the street who'll come in and know something about your business, what you do, or they'll have some experience with it. These people are wonderful. They're awesome. They're amazing. I love them, but they won't know. And so there's so much you have to catch them up on. Okay. So just know that you'd rather spend more time on the front end doing the interviewing right, hiring them right, making sure you feel completely comfortable that you can get along with them, all those kind of things. And then when you embed them in your business, they're there long term. Most of these people will be with you 3 years, 5 years, 8 years, 10 years. I mean, they will be with you a long time, because they'll love you and they'll understand everything about you and what you do, and it'll just be amazing. So, anyway, okay, so there's that. Give me 1 second here. I just want to make sure. Okay, cool. So, just want to make sure we were recording good and the audio was coming through good. Okay, so the real keys to success that I think we've narrowed it down to, these are really going to help you if you keep these in your mind as you're going through the process. Number one, you want to work in some type of overlap process where you don't have to work every hour that they're working. They don't have to work every hour you're working, but you have to have some overlap. You have to have some working overlap of hours. This is what this is, of hours, where for me, it's a minimum of 2 hours every day where they're working and I'm working. And I know what that time is. Okay. And this is a part of the communication and the dialogue that happens during the interview process, where I will say, what times are we going to work congruently every single day, Monday through Friday, or whatever the days of the week are, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, whatever it ends up being. But what are the times when I know you will be online and I will be online? And no matter what, it is your job to be online those times. Okay. And I'll go over some more details here of how we manage it here in a second. But that is their job, to be online during those times. Okay. Now, for me, after the overlap period, I still want to know exactly to the T what their work schedule is, and I want it to be the same. I do not want them to have a flexible work schedule. I have absolutely burned incredibly good talent by letting them get into a pattern of working whenever they want. And it has absolutely burned me. And I've had to let people go who I knew if I would have managed them better, they would still be with me and my life would have been easier. Okay. Do not get lackadaisical with this. The reason I'm saying this is many of you have not had employees. Okay. I mean, I've managed 100 or more employees. Okay. But I can tell you, you do not want to get lackadaisical with these people, okay? And I'll be honest, they're saying the same thing about you and me. They're saying, we want to know exactly what the expectations are. They're saying the same thing, okay? So, but a minimum of 2 hour of work overlap. So for me, with my kids and my work schedule, and I'm kind of a crazy entrepreneur, for me, that time is like, 9 to 11 at night. Okay. For you, that might be 1 to 3 in the afternoon. If that's 1 to 3 in the afternoon, then guess what? They have to stay up or wake up early. If it's A good time for Philippine workers would be in the morning, our time. Okay. So 8, 9, 10, 11, something like that. That's usually a good time for them. Okay. Now you'll have to work around their dinner schedule. Maybe they got to pick up their kids, any of those kind of things. But you can work it out. Okay. Here's the deal. I'm kind of skipping down to the 5th or 6th bullet point here, but they have to check in and check out. Okay. They cannot. I never, ever, ever, ever want to show up to our overlap time period and wonder if they're online. I don't want to guess, right? Like, I have so much work to do. The last thing I want to do, this should never create more work for me. This is one of the most important things that I start communicating to them when I get them on the phone or get them on Skype is, if I have to manage you, okay, if you're seeing me ask questions like, where are you? No, I wouldn't say where are you, right? But I'll put something to that effect, right? I mean, always be kind and super nice to these people. They're amazing. But are you online, right? Did you get my message? What is the status? Like, if I have to do any of that, something is drastically wrong. Okay. And so I let them know that the communication is key. It is absolute key. I need to know when you're online, when you're not. If I don't see a message that you're online, my assumption is you have some drastic emergency, which they actually do. They'll have stuff where a typhoon hits, or their internet goes out, or their bus broke down. I mean, there's things that happen. Okay. The kids get sick. A lot of people in the Philippines, it's very common that they have a lot of colds, head colds, sniffles, those kind of things. They constantly have to go to the doctor. It's just kind of a thing in the country there. Okay. So that's one of the things about that country, is that there's a lot of colds. A lot of people come down with colds and sicknesses. Okay. So they'll be going to the doctor a little more than Americans will. Okay. If their kid gets sick, they're going to go to the doctor. Okay. So you got to know, what's the communication plan. Okay. If you got to go to the doctor, I tell them, you cannot go to the doctor and miss your shift or miss our 2-hour overlap without you telling me where you are, that you're going to miss the shift. And this is why Voxer becomes so important. The mobile app, Voxer, Voxer, it's a free app, and they can be walking out the door, jump on the thing and push the button and say, hey, James, I'm really sorry, but I'm going to be late, and I just want to let you know I'll check in a couple hours. Boom. That's all I need to know, right? Simple communication. So anyway, work overlap is key. Number 2, I'm going to look absolutely for skill sets. I don't worry as much about every little detail that they know. I want to know, can they learn? Do they have a capacity to learn? That is so important, because I found that no matter how much they think they know about something, they probably don't know it the way I want it. And that's totally fine, right? Somebody, like, we use the ClickFunnels software. Well, there's thousands of VAs who know ClickFunnels, but very few of them know how I want to use it. And so I don't really want to know how good you are at ClickFunnels. I want to know, can me and you be in a relationship where I can teach you, because a lot of times the personalities don't work. And so that's the most important thing, is, do they actually have a skill set that's compatible with you? Okay. So don't forget that, and don't underestimate that. Okay. You can train them on the tactics, and you will train them on the tactics over time, but you cannot train somebody, to be more technical, or to have better, to be able to think more outside the box, like those kind of things. You can't teach them, right? If you need somebody to make posts on Facebook, you can't teach. I've had amazing virtual assistants, but there's people that I could never trust to make one single post on Facebook, because it represents my business, and I know they don't understand the context of the American language, because it's extremely difficult. It's the most confusing language in the world. Think about a word like can. I can go, or I ate from the can. Simple word, right? You and me, we think it's so easy, but to people in other countries, it's very difficult. Okay. And then it's like, don't even get me started on slang, right? Then you get to slang and it's like a whole nother language. So, okay. So skill set. Number three, friendliness to me is the most important thing. That when I say friendliness, I'm talking between me and them, our relationship. Do we actually get along? Do we gel? And in the interview process, I will specifically do things that play to my weakness. Okay, like I'm the kind of person you can see. I mean, I'm up late. I work. I work late. I get up early. I'm the kind of person like I can get a little irritated late at night. And when I'm communicating with somebody at 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock at night, I can get a little irritated. And I tell them that I go, God, I'm so sorry. Like, but it's late. And so I need somebody who in those moments understands me. They understand my weaknesses, right? This is my personal assistant. I need them to understand me. So you have to have that really good connection, okay? They need to know your weaknesses, and I will specifically bring out my weakness in the interview process. I've done this and it works to a T. Okay. I have found amazing. I found this one lady. She was an amazing social media manager. She knew everything. She literally knew it better than any candidate I've ever worked with before. Her name's Amy. She was amazing. But I could tell when I started pushing her, man, she freaked out. She got so mad and started saying things and was kind of rude. And I was like, that's the last thing I need. Okay. Like this should make my job easier, not make my job more difficult. Now, some of you may like that. Okay. It may work really well with you. And I'm sure in fact, I recommended her to some people. She was amazing. Okay. The other thing is set up the communication guidelines. So once again, if you're going to be out, you have to do this. Okay. You want to do a lot of if this, then that, a lot of that kind of stuff. Okay. Some of you know that there's a software program. There's a big website out there about it, but that's basic. Like, anyway, I won't go into a side tangent, but if this, then that, there should be a whole lot of those things written out. Okay. A whole lot of that discussed. If this happens, then that, then you do that. Okay. And get them to agree to it. Get them to write it out. Make it a tab in their spreadsheet, right? There's all the if this, then that, right? And like, and it's not like write it out because you're going to quiz them. Sometimes by writing it out, they'll remember it better. Okay. It's very difficult, man. I mean, think about their side. I know I'm getting a little bit of my slang here, my California slang, using mans and probably dudes and stuff like that. Excuse me for that. That's just me being real. But anyway, think about their side, right? Like, man, what are they going through? Think about, what they're thinking. So communication is key, and being on the same page it's way more key than being face to face with somebody in the US. Okay. Because I'm talking about very basic communication. I'm not talking about how you talk at the water cooler or how you talk about a project when I say communication. I'm talking about guidelines like if you don't understand something, what do you do? If this, then that. Keep thinking about that, okay? If you don't understand something, then what? You have to tell them, okay? You have to tell them what to do, okay? And you might not have you won't have it all outlined in the beginning, but keep a running tab of if this, then that communication, and they will be amazing, okay? After a couple weeks, there's probably only 10, 12 big things that you're going to have to figure out and communicate with them and get down. And you just need somebody who can kind of learn and grow with you there. Okay. Fourth one, deep dive on what they say they know. Okay. Here's the thing. When they tell you, hey, yeah, I know WordPress. Okay. Ask them about it. And if you don't know it, ask them, then you need to ask them to do a task. Okay. Sometimes I'll ask them to do a task right in front of me. I'll say, okay, share your screen. You'll see them freak out right away. Share your screen. Okay. Open up WordPress. Okay. Show me how to start a blog. like, put them on the spot sometimes, because the thing is, you're never going to see them. Okay. And um, you need to know how they act and react to things on the spot when they're put on the spot. Okay. So when they say that they know social media, they'll be like, oh yeah. I know Facebook. Okay. You know, how many community, or how do you create a Facebook community? Um, you know, and just listen to them, right? Because if you ask me, how do you create a Facebook community? It'd take me a second to think about it. Okay. But I could tell it to you. So give them a second, don't be too confrontive, right? Like, just give them a second, hear how they talk, listen to how they communicate. You're really listening to see the process of how they think. Okay. End of day reports is huge. Every single employee that I have, every single outsourcer, they have to report in every single day. It's a part of their day. I tell them to take 15 minutes at the end of your day and fill in a template that says, here's what I did, here's what I didn't do, here are the issues I had. Okay. So that way, once again, you don't want to go fishing. You don't want to go fishing and see, what did they do? What got completed? What were the issues, right? You don't want to do that, right? Because you ain't going to be able to get a hold of them when they're done. When they're offline, they're offline. Okay. Daily check-in and check-out. We talked about that. Team meetings is huge. I used to never do this. Now we do it religiously, and it's helped tremendously. We have a team meeting every single week, and you should too. Okay. Even if it's just one person, even if you talk to them every day, have a team meeting every single week. Make it consistent. Make sure you are there. Make sure that you're talking about the business. Make sure you're talking about the vision of the business. Make sure you're talking about the growth of the business. Make sure, because you want to cast the vision to your people. You want to be a leader, right? Even if it's one person, you want to make sure that they understand the greater picture. It's very difficult for them to understand what is going on in the business. And when you have a team meeting, and hey, you may just have one slide. You may have no slides. Just talk to them. Just tell them, hey, here are the great things I'm working on. Here are the things that we're struggling with. Here are the things, this is what you're doing and how it's impacting our customers. Okay. It's very important for them to see that. Okay. It really makes it a company culture. Okay. So make sure you have team meetings with them. And another thing, I always offer bonuses. I tell them in the interview process that there's a bonus structure. And if you do well in a certain month, you could get a 50% or 50-cent increase the next a month. Okay. If you do well, you'll keep it. If you didn't hit a certain performance, then we'll take it away. I'll do $25 just stipends sometimes, or just a $25 bonus. Hey, I needed somebody to stay late. They did a kick butt job. Boom, $25. I'll just send it to them, wire it to them, announce it to the whole team. Hey, so-and-so just got $25 because of what they did, right? It's huge. And it's $25. Okay. Give them sick time and give them time off. I'm telling you, if you want to get the best people, give them sick time, give them time off. Time off, for me, is about 5 days. Okay. They get 5 days, which is amazing. There's no, sick time in most countries is unheard of. Paid time off is unheard of. Okay. So I give them at least 5 days off paid leave. Okay. And then after 3 months, I'll actually consider investments. So I had one person, I helped them upgrade their laptop. I helped somebody buy a phone. Those kind of things, right? Communication devices, things like that. Just like any remote worker, you work in the U.S., they might help you buy a printer, a monitor. They might help you with internet access, whatever. Once I've been working with them for a little while, and I know that, and I trust them, and I know that somebody's going to be with me for a few years, then I will definitely consider investments. Because I want them to stay around. And just remember, anything you buy them, they own, you will not get it back. Okay, so. Okay. All right. So here is my secret ultimate hiring strategy. Okay. How many of y'all want to know exactly how we go about the hiring process and why it's so awesome? Okay. Okay. Here's what we do. So we always pick the top 2 candidates. Okay. Me and my business partner, Ronald will go through, and actually Ronald was my first VA in the Philippines. He's extremely smart. He's a PMP certified guy. I mean, he's worked with Intel and some other big companies, and but he's in the Philippines now, and he could come to the U.S. and get a job for probably six figures. Awesome guy. Okay, we pay him $10 an hour, and he does an amazing job for us. He's now my business partner. He tied into revenue of the company. He's not even paid an hourly. Okay. But he's done an amazing job. He's always there. But he's my partner. Okay. So him and I, we work together on this, but so we'll pick the top two candidates. Okay. And what we do, okay, is you give them a task. Okay. Now I've had people say, well, why do you do this? Number one, I can tell you, you will never definitively know who's better. Okay. There's just too much of a culture barrier, and there's too much of a distance barrier, right? You're not looking in them eye to eye. So there's no better way than to put them into play. Okay. I can't tell you how many times I go, Johnny's going to win, and Johnny absolutely bombed. Okay. And this split test just saved me a month of rework. Okay. So absolutely always do this. This is the gold of the program. Okay. Pick two people, I send them a notepad file. Once I say, hey, you are hired, I just tell them you are hired. Even though they're not hired, I say you are hired. Okay. And technically they are. I'm going to pay them for the task. Okay. But only one's going to win. Okay. Now I have had one time where both of them were so amazing, literally, that the second one who didn't win, I ended up bringing her on, and now she works all the time with us. Okay. She almost went full-time for a little while. Now she's more part-time, but I couldn't let this person go. Okay. When you find good talent, you find a way to keep them on with you. Okay. But so what I do, okay, so pick two people. Once you get them, then you just send them a notepad file. And in that notepad file, it has a task. Now, it's a very simple task, okay? And you want it to be written, and you want it to be something in video, like a video link, like a Jing link, or do a Facebook Live real quick, record them a 5-minute video. And here's the deal. You want to know how well do they do the written task, and how well do they do the video task? Because a lot of people cannot watch a 5-minute video. I figured this out. Heck, even give them a 10-minute video. Make it long, babble, ramble, run on sentences. Just, make it long. Like, make it hard for them, and see how do they respond. Can they actually listen to a 10-minute video and sift out the 3 things you're telling them to do? Okay. So in that file, they both get the same file, but it'll have a written task, a video task, and it's typically something like this. Okay, it says create a Google spreadsheet. Here's my email. Share it with me, and then it says, and then it'll give a time frame. It'll say do this in the next 20 minutes, or the next 5 minutes. Okay, and then it says task number 2, watch the video. Okay, so they'll go watch the video. And the video might say, go to this URL, okay? And you're not telling them the URL, you just show it to them on the video. So you got to see, like, is their screen resolution good? Are they good at typing in, the URL? Are they going to ask you for it? Like, are they going to say, hey, where's the URL? Like, you know what I mean? So I show them the URL, and it's typically like just some random blog post and some URL, some whatever, okay? It says, hey, take this, take the 4, it depends on what the job is, right? But it could say, take the 4 main topics, or create 2 memes out of this, and then post those memes onto this Dropbox link, and create a task for it in the spreadsheet. And then I'll give them a Jing link that's so it's another video that says, okay, here's exactly how you create a task. Okay. So it tells them what to do step by step. Okay, so the task is typically some research or some collaboration of like 2 sites, or I'll tell them, okay, go to this blog, pick out the main theme of the blog, do internet research and find me 10 blogs just like it, 3 photos and 2 infographics, link all of that into the spreadsheet. Okay. Um, you know what I mean? So it's like, whoa. I mean, there's a lot of some crazy stuff they got to do, you know, but it's very related. At least the skills should be related to the job. Okay. Don't tell them the end time. Just write it down or put it in the video. Okay. Put it in the task and say, hey, this has to be completed within 2 hours. Okay. What you'll find is most of the time they will not know when it's done, when the task is done. Okay. I've had amazing people that I wanted to hire that had skills, but they did not pay attention to detail. I had a girl not reply to me for 3 days, and I so wanted to hire her, but she didn't reply for 3 days. And she's supposed to reply in like 2 hours. Okay. I mean, she was so good in the interview, like her thoughts and the way she responded and everything. And then so what I ended up doing was I said, you know what, you're too good. Obviously you didn't watch the video enough. And guess what happened? I hired her, and guess what happened? I fired her. 3 weeks later, I fired her. She was horrible. She did not pay attention to what we needed. Even though her mind was good, I think what happens a lot of times with these people, you have to understand this, folks. A lot of times they have 2 or 3 jobs, or they have another full-time job. They're coming home after that. They're just like you and me. Their mind's dead, but they're trying to make an extra buck. Okay. That's not the person that I want working for me. I can't. My job at my company is too important. Our customers are too important, right? I'm disservicing my own customers if I do that. Okay. So make sure they pay attention. Look for responsiveness, attention to detail. Do they communicate? Okay, a lot of times in the middle of the task, I'll say, when you're done with this, send me a Skype. When you're done with this, send me a Voxer. Okay, see if they communicate back. I've had people that they don't communicate back, and I say, hey, why didn't you say something back? The task number 4 said communicate back, and said, oh, well, I did it good enough, and I thought maybe you didn't. I'm like, you thought maybe I didn't, but I wrote it. That's important, because you realize that some of these people, they have a communication problem. They don't want to talk to you. That's a problem for me. Maybe not for you, but for me that is. Okay. No excuses, and it's all about attitude. Okay. When they're done with this task and they realize what's going on, okay, they're going to come up with all kinds of excuses. And as soon as I start hearing the excuses, they're done. Okay. And a lot of times I've let both of them go. And you pay them and all that stuff. But now if they tell you and they apologize or they whatever, that's a little bit different. Okay. I'll consider that. I'll weigh it. I'll see if it's enough. But I won't take a bunch of excuses. I'm telling you, I've seen that so many times. It really gets annoying, because they'll always have an excuse as to why something's not done right. Okay. So no matter what, pay them for the task, leave them amazing feedback. Even if they sucked, leave them amazing feedback, because they personally don't suck. Just their work was bad. And remember, like I said before, whatever feedback you leave them, they're going to leave you. It's not even worth it. Take the high ground, leave them great feedback. Okay. All right, guys, that is the ultimate hiring system. I'm telling you, it works. Okay. Always check for their internet connection. This is really important. Okay. Don't forget this. Make sure that they understand their internet connection. Okay. Half the time, they won't understand what kind of internet they have. Actually, I will say this: 3/4 of the time, they will not be able to tell you off the top of their head who their internet provider is and how many megabits they have at their house. Okay. That is a massive, massive problem for me. Okay, and it should be for you, because the only way you connect with them is on the internet, right? And so typically you want somebody who has at least 2 megabits. And believe it or not, your average is going to be 1 to 2. Okay. If they have 3 to 5, they're awesome. Okay. And they can do an internet, a speed test and test it for you. Okay. But make sure you ask them about that if they have a low connection. I had an amazing girl working for us one time, and she had this horrible, horrible connection. It was a half a megabit, and anytime it's on Wi-Fi, if you guys know about technology, anytime it's on Wi-Fi, it's going to cut the connection by at least a quarter, if not a half. So she was operating on about 0.25 megabytes. Didn't work. Okay. Even though she was amazing, it didn't work. When you get online and you can't comprehend what the person's saying, it's not going to work. Okay. And it's not even the language. It's static on the line. It's choppiness. I had one person who was really good, but she had this ridiculously loud fan on her computer. And I thought for the first 2 weeks, she literally had like a fan because she had no air conditioning or something. She had a fan actually right by the microphone. And she was flicking it on and off and on and off and on and off. And then I asked her one day, I said, well, what kind of fan are you using? Do you need me to buy you a quieter fan? She said, oh, no, that's my laptop fan. I said, "Oh my gosh, you must have a seriously old laptop." I didn't say that, but to be honest, that ended up being the reason why one of the main contributing reasons why we had to let her go is because it would take me so long to hear what she had to say because when that fan was going on, I couldn't hear her. I could not hear her. Okay. The other thing I would put on here, and let me just type it in. The other thing I would put on here is their headset. Okay. Understand what kind of headset they have. Okay. Um, I'm telling you, this is huge. I cannot tell you how many times somebody will not go out and buy a $10 headset. Okay. I will just buy them their headset. Okay. If they're a good worker and the headset's the problem, I tell them, buy a headset, show me the receipt. I will wire you the money right now. Okay. But do not come to work tomorrow without a better headset. Okay. PC type, software, office products, all those kind of things you need to ask. Okay. Believe it or not, if you don't ask, you'll find somebody who doesn't have Microsoft Word or something like that, and it becomes a big problem. Okay. Especially if they're going to do editing, any of that kind of stuff, graphics. You need to know what kind of software they have to do that. Okay. So make sure you ask that. Believe it or not, you definitely want to ask about phone type and their data plan. Okay. In the US, this is something you would never ask. In overseas, you want to ask 100% of the time. Doesn't matter what they're doing, unless it's a gig-based job. But if it's somebody, gig-based doesn't really matter as much. But for virtual assistants, you want to ask them what kind of phone and what kind of data plan do you have. Okay. Believe it or not, I've hired amazing workers, and then I found out later they do not have a data plan. Okay. Voxer will not work on their phone. Okay. So you want to make sure you understand this extremely clearly. Okay. The other thing is you want to know the days or the hours that they're connected. Connected meaning they're connected to the internet with either their phone or internet connection, a real internet connection. Okay. Ask them this because there's a lot of times when they'll say, because family's really big. Okay. So there's a lot of times when they'll say, every single Tuesday I go visit my parents and my parents are in this town and there's no internet connections out there. Okay. There's no data coverage, wireless data. Ask them if, what hours and what days are they connected to the internet? This is huge. Okay. I've hired really good workers and I've had to let them go because I figure out that so much of the time they are unconnected to the internet. It's not very conducive to our job. Into what we do. Okay. So do them a favor, do yourself a favor, ask this up front. Okay. Always check for these. Okay. Is that helpful? There's 5 really key ones. Okay. Let's talk about compensation real quick and we're almost done. Okay. This is a key one. So make sure that you really think through this clearly. So you have to understand that there's US employers who don't understand what they're doing with virtual assistants. Okay. They will go, this market is the wild, wild west in terms of pricing. It's fairly consistent, but the reason I say it's the wild, wild west, it is not uncommon to find a virtual assistant that you and I can hire for $3 an hour. And there's somebody out there that'll pay them $25 an hour. Okay. I've seen it before, or somebody that'll pay them $15 an hour. That's much more realistic. Or $12 an hour. Okay. If they find that, let them go and let them. I mean, God bless them. Honestly, if they find that, they need to do that. That's the best of all worlds for them. I mean, I would highly encourage them to do that. I would hate to see any of my people go, but if they can find work like that, they need to do that. Okay. Chances are they're not going to let you go if they find that. But most of them will try to work it out, but anyway. So, but I can tell you this is rare. Okay. But you will run into this where people will say, well, so-and-so or this type of job in America, whenever somebody says that, okay, you will have people who are savvy. Okay. And they'll say, well, you know what? I mean, we can start at $4 an hour, but once we get going, we'll have to talk a little bit about compensation. There's no talk about compensation. It is what it is. The bonuses are what they are. The raises are every year. There's no talk. Now, if you're extremely overperforming and you're adding tremendous value to the business and you want to talk about that, sure. But there's no compensation more for doing your job. Okay. And you'll have people say, well, in the US, this kind of job. Well, I go, excuse me. If you want to move to the US and I can help you get a job like that, and you'll get paid more than what you're saying, but you're not in the US. And so, the reality is, okay, you having an assistant in the US who sits in your office is way better than having a virtual assistant most of the time. Okay. But you're going to pay way more. Okay. And that's why this is an amazing option. This is the best option, okay? Because you can get amazing workers who can do amazing things for very low money, okay? But to compare it to the U.S. is unfair, inaccurate comparison, okay? Now, like I said, there's people in America who will hire them for crazy amounts of money, but it is very rare. Do not think it's happening all the time, no matter what they say. It is not happening all the time. Okay. I've talked to tons and tons and tons of these people. I've never lost one to somebody I've never lost somebody to somebody who was paying more money. In fact, I've never lost anybody. Zero. I've always let them go. I've never even had anybody quit ever. Okay. Remember in the bullet 2 here, the VA supply is extremely high. There are Americans going to other countries and training them by the thousands a month, training them to get online and to try to get a job. So there is an oversupply of virtual assistants. There is a tremendous amount of talent. The demand is still extremely low in comparison to the supply, and that means that the dollar value is going to be low based on supply and demand. Okay, so don't think you have to overpay. Really sell people on the benefits of your business and the benefits of working with you and the work environment and the consistency. This is a massive value to them. And a lot of times they are not business savvy or economic savvy enough to think about this. Okay. For instance, I've met amazing video editors for $5 an hour, and I told them I only pay $4 or less. For $1, they would not work for me, okay? Even though I could give them a job, paying them hundreds of dollars a month, and they just said, no, I'm not worth that, okay? 4 months later, the lady calls me and says, hey, would you reconsider me? I said, ma'am, I can't. I have somebody, and she's amazing. And she said, well, I still don't have a job. And I said, well, that's a perfect reason why. And I'm telling you, this happens all the time, I can't tell you, at least a couple times a week, somebody on Skype hits me up from the Philippines and says, hey, I interviewed for this job, or I did a task for you one time and I didn't get the job. And do you have any work for me? Okay. I love the heart. I love the effort, but they need to understand the value that I bring in fighting over $1 Okay, but then they go 4 months or which is $1,500 or $2,000 of income that they lost. That's not worth it to them. Okay, so you want to politely encourage them to come to this understanding that the consistency that you will bring means a lot, because you can pay them 12 months out of the year, whereas most people will let them go in 3 months, or their business will collapse, or their work will slow down, or whatever. And there's always an ebb and flow. Okay, so consistency is key. If you don't have that in your business, obviously don't tell them that. They're going to be more concerned in general. I found this is very interesting. They're more concerned about the dollars per month, the total dollars per month that they earn, versus dollars per hour, anything like that. Now, you will have some that are savvy enough to think about dollars per hour, but for the most part, they're trying to help their parents, or they're trying to pay for their kids something, or they're trying to create a better quality of life. And it's really about, can they get an extra $400 a month? And what type of effort do they need to put into it? Okay, so it's much more around dollars per month than I would say U.S. workers, and things like that. Okay, so that's something that was a big eye opener for me. Okay, and the last one here is, I offer a retainer after people have been around for a while. If they're very, very, very good. I've done this twice, and I don't have enough work. Okay, so for instance, right now. Well, I don't even know if it's in effect right now, but I have somebody on my staff right now who they do a tremendous, tremendous job. And so if my work were to slow down for what they do, I will still pay them a minimum. And for this person, it's a minimum of $200 a month. Okay. Now, if their hours go over that, they'll get over that, but they will always get $200 a month from me, even if they work 5 hours, 5 hours a month. I know that my work there is going to ramp up, and so for me to lose them or to retrain somebody is not worth it to me. I would just rather lose the $200. Okay, so offer a retainer if they're good and if you can afford it. Okay. All right, guys, and last one here. This is a big one, what to avoid, okay? This is a funny one to me. Okay, it's very common when you go to a U.S. interview, the very first question the interviewing manager, the hiring manager is going to ask is, tell me about yourself, okay? Let me tell you, every single time I've asked somebody that in a job interview, and they're virtual, they're in the Philippines, they take it as a personal insult, or they take it as I'm trying to come on to them, or they take it like it's not a part of the culture. Don't ever say, tell me about yourself. They're not there to tell you about themselves. Okay. They don't understand what that means. I tried to explain it and they literally don't even laugh. They don't understand that I didn't say anything personal. I literally meant, tell me about your personality. Tell me about, I'm thinking you're going to respond with your work skills. Okay. So just don't ever ask that. Okay. Number two, a yes is never a yes. Here's what this means. Okay. In the interview process, okay, most of the time, I would say 8 out of 10 times, they're going to tell you that they can do what you say, what you need. Okay. You say, oh, I need somebody who knows canva.com. Do you know Canva? Yes. Oh, okay. I need somebody who knows SoundCloud. Do you know SoundCloud? Yes. Are you good? Yes. Have you done it before for clients? Yes. Okay. Don't ever think yes means yes. The worst case scenario for them is they can't figure it out on the fly and they lose you and they got paid for a week. Okay. So that's worst case scenario for them. And you will find those people a lot. In fact, it's sad, but there's people out there training them to do this. Okay. Because they know that you can go to YouTube or whatever and learn stuff. Okay. And the thing is, I tell them in the interview process, say, look, if you don't know it, I want to know that you don't know it because I need to know what I need to train you. if you really want a job here and you want to work long term, we need to have a very clear communication of what you're good at, what you need training for. Okay. So, so anyway, don't ever think the yeses are yeses. I will tell you early on for me, I used to listen to them say yes, 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 yes. And I believed them because I was moving so fast. And guess what? They were horrible. Okay. So, so anyway, all right, guys, that's it. Hopefully you really enjoyed this. Those are, isn't that awesome? That's some awesome stuff, right? So go out there, have an awesome time interviewing. Those are my secret interview scripts. You got them right now. Thanks so much. And I'll talk to you on the next one.